Hello again, Conte. I've been getting a lot of questions lately. I'm getting messages on the daily about how to fight Alatreon with certain weapons and stuff like that. So I thought I'd start covering the ones that I'm comfortable with. We're going with Greatsword up first because it's the old classic. And so yeah, this is a video on my method to consistently solo Alatreon in somewhere around 12 minutes. I've gotten like 12.7, 12.6, I've gotten a couple of like mid 12s. It's not that hard. I'll talk about this head at the end and how exactly I build to de-nova him. Elemental topple him at the end, so keep an eye out for that. I'll probably have a timestamp for you to skip to, unless I've forgotten to. But this is my standard opener. I try to get the 2-claw. You can use Rocksteady Head to account for his electrical attack, which knocks you off of him. I use Evasion Mantle because I'm going for a speed run, and it's nice to evade the row and then have the damage buff here. But yeah, this is my standard opening. Sometimes I only get 2 of these off. I believe I am running Focus 3, by the way, which is how I'm able to get so many off. That third one there, I should not have gone for a level 3. I got greedy. There's a chance he could have walked away. With this attack here, it's a nice way to proc Evasion Mantle. Usually, I can't get a level 3 off on that triple laser. By the way, if you're not aware, he does the triple laser when he's in rage mode. And the other reason I do that opener is because in rage mode, I think he takes something like 20% more damage. And so, yeah, another way to sort of up your DPS, if you find that you're, getting to the second horn break and still not able to kill him, a good thing to do is to try and fight him mostly in rage mode. That's how I did it with my kinsect video too. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, he's on a ledge. I was hoping to do a level 3 jump, but I think the ledge is too short. You'll see that this headbutt here is probably the move that gets me the most. That time it was just a shoddy hitbox, if I'm being honest with you. But it's nice because it gives me a chance to activate Coalescence. This attack here, where he sort of shakes his head up into the air and then summons those bolts, I'm sure you've seen it by now. There's a very specific way I punish that. I start charging my level 3 so that... Oh yeah, anyway, you're going to see me get hit by this a couple of times now. But yeah, you're going to see me start charging my level 3 with that attack. And then I'm going to time it so that I release it a little bit after his head comes down. Basically, there's 2 possibilities. Either he's going to spawn the electric close to him or far away from him. And there are a few variations therein. But my punish is to, if he spawns it close to him and it's about to hit me, I use my shoulder bash to go through it. But otherwise, if it spawns far or it spawns close but the laser beams aren't underneath me, then I just do my level 3 unsheath on his head. So yeah, that way you're sort of safe. This is how I punish the 2 or 3 slams. Again, if he's in rage mode, he does 3. If he's not, he does 2. I like to aim for the arms and the legs with a level 3 charge. It's not entirely consistent to get it on the head. I can usually get like a level 2 on the head, but I found that it gets more damage this way. And honestly, it's safer as well, just running to the side at the end. Because you can tell when he sort of locks in his attack. You move back a little bit and then adjust your aim. It's fairly easy to miss the arms and to whiff and hit the body or to miss, but it's, you miss all the shots you don't take, whatever they say. Now, there are ways to dunk him from the air. Flash pods are one of them. I don't know how to use them properly, so you'll see me dick around and waste like 20 seconds here trying to work out what's going on. Oh, maybe that's next time, but yeah, if he's not in rage, you can flinch shot him in the air and he'll immediately dunk. And also, if he's... you can use smoke bombs to make him lose aggro, at which point he lands. Yeah, you see my elemental topple. Again, I'm going to talk about how exactly I build this set to get the elemental topples in a bit, but I tend to get 1 per phase. You can see I get 1, 2, and then I delay the 3rd one. Again, don't go for a level 3 there. Go for a level 2. I'm getting greedy. I'm getting really greedy, to be honest with you. Now, if there's an attack that you don't... Oh, flinch shotting. Okay. So you see he's de-enraged. Flinch shots, they only give you like 1,000 damage each. They're not that great. That's basically just 1 level 3 unsheath attack. And you'll see me waste a lot of time trying to go for them. The reason I spend so much time going for them here is because they also activate rage mode, which is something I'm really interested in if you get 2 of them off. However, if you have a hard time getting him to the pillars or flinch shotting him into them, don't worry. Just do the 3 claw swipes to enrage him, and don't worry about the flinch shot. You're only losing basically 1 level 3 charge and a couple of openings while he's on the ground. But I would have made up for that by just punishing these attacks normally. So yeah, don't worry if you hate the flinch shot. You'll also see I'm not really using my mantles very well. I'm not keeping an eye on them and stuff. You'll see that later in the run. So better mantle usage and cat optimizations and stuff can help you improve the time even further. But yeah, I got my 2 flinch shot, which means he's about to go into rage and start taking more damage. The actual flinch shot itself, I struggle to punish it to get 2 in a row. Often I have to only go for a level 2 there. Fortunately, I was quick enough and I didn't get sent far enough to get both off, but you really need to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Make sure you unleash your level 2 early if you have to. So here you'll see, look, I start charging now, but I wait a little bit when he lands just to see if the bolts are underneath me, in which case I can just either try and tank it or shoulder bash or something. Now, every time I get status, it's really not a bad thing. I have Coalescence on this set, a single point from Rhyme Guard. I'm using Frostcraft, by the way, if you haven't been able to tell. And I would definitely recommend Frostcraft GF. By the way, there are runs out there that do it really quickly using regular Greatsword play. However, I'm doing Frostcraft Greatsword because it's much easier in my opinion. With this fight, if you want to get good Greatsword time, you've got to do a lot of shoulder bashing through lightning and a lot of risky and difficult strats. Also, hey, you see me whiff the flashes. If you work out the flash mechanics, please let me know. But yeah, you could obviously save some time by getting that right. Yeah, I'm using Frostcraft GS because I think it's easy and consistent, and this is the way that I'm going to suggest it. Obviously, if you're really good with Greatsword and tackles and stuff like that, and you like that playstyle, then... also, this is how I punish the spin. I try to get underneath his legs and land one on the legs. There's probably a timing to get it on the head, but to be honest, I like to be safe and I like to be consistent. Again, we got the 3. I'm going to go to the side. I believe I whiffed this one. We'll see. No, okay. So yeah, you probably understand how that punish works. I'm also going to run out of purple sharpness soon. That's another thing you might have noticed. I'm not using a layer just so you can see what weapon I'm using. Yeah, I'm about to run out of purple sharpness. You definitely want to maintain purple sharpness. However, I have roughly enough to last me until the Nova, at which point I can just sharpen there. It saves me from having to sharpen mid-hunt. If you do need to sharpen mid-hunt... Oh, also Clagger. Claw on, jump off, triple charge the head. Very easy. This attack here, it's hard to get to the head in time, which is the reason you see me go for the arms. Again, it depends on where you're positioned when he first attacks. Now, it took me a while to remember to say this. I was supposed to do this right at the beginning of the video. But you can see I'm doing this quest in fire mode. That's what I started from. I actually prefer ice mode, but unfortunately while I was running that quest, the quest expired and changed to ice mode. And I kind of wanted to get this video out as soon as possible so that everybody who's struggling could maybe have a better time with it. Yeah, I actually much prefer ice mode. The Frostcraft naturally has good ice resistance, which means that when he does that frost breath on the ground, you can punish it by going underneath him, like Hair for example. But I'm not talking about this frost breath attack. This one's an easy punish regardless. However, in ice mode, he has this attack where he flies into the air and he shoots his breath downwards and then comes back down to the ground. He does it with fire mode too. Unfortunately, this set has good ice res and bad fire res, and I found that at least with my current set, I'm unable to survive the fire version if I try and tank through it, but I am able to survive the ice version. So with the ice one, I just stand underneath him, charge up a level 3, and when he lands, slam it on his head. And it recovers all the health I lost from standing in that area of effect. Yeah, regarding that, just take a good fire greatsword. I think I was using Glavenus. Try and get one that goes up to purple sharpness with some handicraft if you can. If not, no big deal, get one with lots of fire element. Actually, let me just check this now quickly. Yeah, so Lozahan and Glavenus Blaze were the two ones I tried. I found that the Glavenus Blaze was better, even though it had less element. The purple sharpness made a big difference. But obviously, you should probably test out whatever you find the most enjoyable. Yeah, so Glavenus Blade to get to purple sharpness pairs really well with Frostcraft, and it has a lot of fire on it, especially when you augment it and all that. So yeah, the ice mode quest is honestly a lot easier. There are better openings. He uses attacks that are more easily punishable more frequently. I could definitely get this time down to somewhere like 10 minutes with decent AI and an ice mode start. Fortunately, the Valkana Greatsword I'm using is a little bit stronger than the Glavenus one, so it does kind of make up for it, but not enough. So yeah, if you're doing it in ice mode, take a fire greatsword. Pay pretty much the same set, the same skills. You might have to jiggle things around because of less slots. Maybe drop a point of a convenient skill. So that fire attack is a really good one. He has a really long opening after it, the one that propagates outwards. You kind of need to get used to that one and dodge into it. It's a really good attack to punish. So yeah, the sooner you get used to that one, it's really nice for proccing your like Hair, for example. You can just run out and run in like I did there, or alternatively you can iframe through the central explosion, preferably with evasion mantle, but you know. And you'll see here after these attacks, I'm not overcommitting. If you go for like a level 2 or a level 3 when you shouldn't, he can pin you. He likes to throw out those sort of big pin attacks, especially when you're in that kind of range. There you see I had to iframe. I had the evasion mantle out, so it was honestly advantageous. But yeah, he likes to throw those pin attacks out when you're in front of him. And so if you overcommit when you're in that range to get hit by that and you're not going to have a chance to evade afterwards, you saw it happen to me once or twice almost in this video. You're going to get pinned, and then he usually likes to follow that up with one of his stronger attacks, which can usually 2-hit kill you. So yeah, that pin attack is probably the biggest source of trouble, aside from maybe some of his flying element spam attacks. Yeah, so try not to overcommit when you're in that range near his head and you know he can possibly pin you. Yeah, I'm still going for the legs. By the way, another way to dunk him while he's in the air, also a nice opportunity for coalescence. Another way to dunk him while he's in the air is, this attack. Go into his face there. Okay, well this wasn't the one where he lands. The one where he does that and he's about to land, go to his face, charge up to tank through it, but you won't be able to do it with this set unless you put some fire res on it or something. or maybe eat for fire res. Anyway, but if you have a different set, that's a punishment. Or if he's in ice mode, that's a good punishment. I forgot what I was saying. Pin attacks, I think. Yeah, don't get pinned. Forehead. Yeah, so as you can see, I was a little bit risky there. I'm getting close to the end of the fight, and this is trying to be a speed run, so I get a little bit aggressive and I take some risks that I shouldn't have. Unfortunately, you see me whiff a tiny bit there. Yeah, I don't really think there's too much else to say. Oh yes, dunking. You can get, so that element topple, if you get that in the air, he dunks, and that's another way. That's why I like to spam his legs. Even though it's not that much damage, it's worth it because you have the possibility of dunking him. Unfortunately, ledge in the way, so really do be like that sometimes. And as you can see, delay the third one again. Stop going for level 3s. I know I'm not supposed to go for level 3s, but I'm desperate for the damage. Hopefully I don't whiff this. That attack there with the line of lasers, line yourself up behind one of the lines. Even if you can't go to the first one, wait for the second one, line up right behind it, and then after it pops off, just run past it. Alatreon has a really long opening after that, so it can be quite handy. And you can see, if I don't think I have enough time for an opening, I'm not overcommitting to a level 3. It's just not worth it when you're at that position on the head where you know he can pin you. That will kill you. Again, another coalescence. You do have to watch out with the nullberries. Nullberry management can be a bit of an issue. Like for example, sometimes if I have Ice Blight or Water Blight, I just won't heal it because I need to save it for Dragon Blight. It's kind of essential to... Oh, I should talk about the flow of the fight, shouldn't I? Yeah, make sure you can always heal Dragon Blight. But anyway, the way that this hunt goes is he starts off in fire mode and I ice attack him, or vice versa if you've got a fire weapon and he's in ice mode. You stop the first Nova, you break the first horn so he goes back into the right mode. Repeat the process, you break the second horn. That's what I've just done now. So after this, he's going to go back into ice mode. This attack. Yep, so you see, I line up for the head. I was a little bit off, so I ended up hitting the arm because I kind of wasn't expecting it. But yeah, he does that so much in ice mode, and it's a really great opening. Also, the frost breath is such a good opening. And you can see how much you heal back with these attacks. Yeah, what was I saying? Something important. Whatever, it's over now. Yeah, fairly easy. Oh yeah, so after the second Nova, and we'll talk about the set in a second, but after the second Nova, after the second horn break, if he reaches Nova, he will go into the bad phase. Usually I can kill him by then. If he does go into the bad phase, don't fret. If you want a fast kill time, you can take a cart, swap to a fire weapon and finish him. Otherwise, just keep fighting him until he Novas again. That Nova will kill you, but then he'll go back into the right mode, and then you'll have a whole another loop. And that's more than enough time to kill him. But yeah, you've seen the set on screen, and you've seen the time, roughly 12 minutes. I didn't put the skills on screen for very long there at the end of the quest, so I'll put them back on now, and we'll have a quick talk about them all. Yeah, I want to talk about how I make sure that I sort of de-Nova him. You can see I'm not using a meta Greatsword, I'm using Velkhana's. It has purple sharpness, and I'm running it with Frostcraft. It's a good ice Greatsword, it's a nice middle of the road. Basically, the best way I would recommend it is you can start with the Greatsword like something like the fish one, which has an absolute ton of element, and stack as many elemental skills as you like. You know, go for it. But what you'll notice is that you elemental topple him fairly quickly. And after that, there's not really much point to be losing DPS by running it as element when you could be running it as raw. And so for me, a good middle ground was the Velkhana Greatsword. I could definitely afford to run less ice attack and more regular DPS skills. But just for the sake of convenience of guaranteeing the topple, I've been running ice attack 6 and for the sake of the video. But yeah, and you can sort of lower the skills until you find a point that you're comfortable with definitely guaranteeing the elemental topple. Aside from that, I run 4 points of handicraft on this to give me a good amount of purple. Again, personally, you can vary it for you. I found that 4 points was the perfect amount to get me to through like a full phase before a Nova, at which point I can just use my wet fin. Another thing to notice is that I don't use the tenderize attack at all. I'm not running weakness exploit. This is a purely critical draw based build. You didn't see me do a single TCS this entire hunt. I'm doing nothing but draw attacks at level 3s. I like that playstyle. It's really easy. Super easy to pull off, and it doesn't take much thought behind it. It's very old worldy. You'll see I'm running 3 points of focus as well. Now, Coalescence is a nice skill that comes from an alpha piece on Velkhana, a couple of them, so just get that on there too. You're going to be getting blighted a lot. You can run 3 points of blight res if you like. Personally, I didn't really have the space for it. I wanted to keep health boost instead, and I really like having the ability to proc Coalescence. So, elemental toppling. How did I guarantee it? Well, I have the Frostcraft, obviously. If you aren't aware, Frostcraft applies a pretty significant modifier to your elemental damage as well as your raw damage. So that improves it big time. Obviously, I have ice attack stacked on the weapon with some elemental augments and already good base ice. The other difference is purple sharpness. Purple sharpness, the modifier, isn't too spectacular for raw. It's great, but it's not amazing. However, for element, it's even bigger. And so the purple sharpness, even though it might be a little bit steep, you know, 4 points of handicraft, having to use your charm on it or whatever, it is worth it, to be honest with you. The damage boost that you'll see from going up to purple, especially enough to last you one full phase, is huge. Now, if instead of running handicraft you ran raw skills, you probably would get similar damage numbers. However, more of it would be comprised of your raw and less of it would be comprised of your element. And by altering the build in this way, you're basically sort of lopsiding your DPS to come from elemental damage. You'll do slightly less during dragon phase, not a huge amount less, but slightly less. However, you're going to guarantee yourself that elemental topple. So yeah, this should all make sense. I have guides on Frostcraft, Greatsword and stuff like that, so feel free to look them up if you want. But this is my extremely consistent and extremely easy way to solo Alatreon in roughly 10-15 minutes or so. It's not guaranteed in the same way that the kinsect one is, because this is a difficult fight. You need to get used to his attacks and how to punish them and how to dodge, and you will get punished quite harshly. However, you'll notice that I didn't take any carts, and so even if you do cart like once or twice and you have to tank a Nova to get some extra time because you can't do as much DPS, that's completely fine. Especially coupled with eating for something like Safeguard or whatever to give you that 4th cart. There's basically no reason you shouldn't be able to do this aside from just struggling to learn the fight, and that comes over time. But yeah, I've tried my best to elucidate some of my thought process for some of his patterns. The patterns for Ice Mode are pretty much the same, aside from that Frost Breath is a much nicer opening and he uses it more. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. So hopefully this helped, and good luck with the hunts. Take it easy. Bye bye.